pro versus amateur. There's a lot of difference between being a professional and a beginner. Difference in your projects, money, hardware, software. But not so long, I've learned about something and I want to focus on this one thing. And I think that's the biggest difference of all. A few months ago, I've started a master's course in music composition. And as I dive deeper into orchestration techniques and theory, there's one thing that our tutors who are working professionals keep reminding us. One key thing that is the difference between a beginner and an amateur, and that's research. Now you might say, research? What are you on about? That's rubbish. But just give me a second, let me explain it. I've got a few well-deserved days off in Paris at the moment. We're gonna fly to Berlin tomorrow. And as I'm sightseeing and meeting friends, looking at the beautiful architecture, I have time to think and analyze my work and what I'm doing. And there's one word that I keep thinking about: intention. Green amateur. Just wanna start. And it doesn't matter if you're making music, you wanna sit at your instrument. If you're mixing, you wanna play with your plugin. If you're editing, you wanna be at the computer. You just wanna start making things and then figure it out on the way. Because that's how creative people are. They wanna create, they wanna make things, they wanna do. And I'm like that as well. Tight deadlines, multiple projects, any excuse I can get means that I just wanna go. I wanna start doing it, I wanna start making without thinking about it. But as I develop as an editor, producer, composer, I realized that this approach has been wrong all along. People on the top of their game, they don't do that. Well, they still make things, but their approach to work is different. They start with an intent, or rather, they start with research that then leads to intent, to a plan. People like that, before they start working, before they start making anything, they stop and they think, they analyze, they research, they look at their work from a distance. And this may be the most important part of the process, because it doesn't matter how much work and sweat you put into your work if you're working on the wrong thing from the beginning. So I'm back from beautiful Paris and cold Berlin. In Paris, I had a chance to see my favorite musician, pianist Sofiane Pamart at Accor Arena, and it was amazing. It showed me how much work and care goes into these things. I didn't get to record the video in Berlin, as I was meeting friends and drinking beer, but let's continue our thought. And the concert, Sofiane's concert, also inspired me to develop the rest of my thought here. And the thought is how my approach to work changed. Before, I was eager to start creating, start making things. I just wanted to sit in front of my keyboard, in front of the computer, and get going. I want to do it as quickly as possible. Now I take time. I watch, I read, I research before I even open and start a new session. And I'm not talking about writing essays or research papers or spreadsheets. I mean, you can do it if you want, but rather I'm talking about devising a plan, an idea in your head. Start working with your mind first and then with your hands. At the moment, I'm starting work on a new podcast, new show for CaseFile Presents, and usually I'll just sit at the piano, start playing with a few ideas, but then it's easy to fall back on these true and tested techniques, and that's a bit boring, that's a bit stale. So before I started working on the music and working on the sound, I started thinking about the idea of the show and how can I make it interesting, how can I make it different to any other projects that are out there. So I've researched a few scales that have particular connection to region of the world that's connected to the story, also instruments that I could use, make it a little bit more unique. And I bought some MIDI packs, I bought some percussion packs, I bought some rhythmic packs as well that I'll be implementing in this series, in the show. Also, just thinking, how can I design the cues, the music library, the sound library for the show to give me the most
amount of options that I can have when I start producing, when I start scoring. I force the plan in my head, and because of that, when I sit in front of the computer, when I sit in front of the keyboard, I know what I'm doing, but I also know why am I doing it. And that's the biggest difference that you can make in your work. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out the next one, and we'll see you soon.